Hi, Jules and Mike. Here we are, another video. This one today I'm making really just a little bit of everything. There's some standing, there's flexibility, strength, mobility, moving through all the 4 planes of movement in the spine. So no equipment other than if you want to band for leg circles, then you might want to have a band, or for roll-ups. So maybe have your band to hand just in case. Okay, we're going to begin with a little bit of footwork. So imagine the footwork or that you would normally do on the reformer. And we're just going to stand with our feet hip socket width apart, there or thereabouts. We're just going to warm up the feet by quite literally doing a little bit of walking in place. So be careful here of I've just actually come off the mat purely because my mat's so thick that it is quite hard to balance on. So that's why I'm on the floor. And just be careful of your alignment. I want you to think about your ankles, your knees, your hip sockets, really moving through the feet. Be careful that the knees don't flop out to the side. Keep thinking about a sense of length. Couple more and pause. Now from there, I want you to turn out from your thigh bones. So don't just move your feet, really move out from your thigh bones. You can have your hands onto your hips and you're simply going to bend and straighten, bend and straighten. So imagine footwork on the reformer, and you've got your feet onto the foot bar and you're just doing a little bit of bending in and straightening. Now I'm really pulling my seat bones in and up. You can squeeze your bottom if you wish, so a little squeeze, really assisting with everything pulling in and up. We'll just do one more and pause. Now we can add a little bit to this. So we're going to slowly lift, bend, push the heel down, straighten. Lift, bend, push the heels down, straighten. Lift and bend and push the heels and straighten. Lift and bend and push the heels and straighten. We'll just do one more. Be careful of your knees, Mike. Now simply from there we lift and lower. Lift and lower. Now I'm trying to keep the weight between big toe, second toe. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. We'll do 3 and 2, keep breathing, 1 and pause. Now from there, we're going to lift up onto the balls of the feet, heels glue together. So again, imagine that you were on the reformer, all 10 toes on, heels really pushing together, and you'll simply bend and straighten. Now be mindful of your knees, Mike, here. So if you feel it's all wobbly, you can always take a chair and hold on to a chair. Pull those inner thighs. Pull them in and up. Push those heels together. And in and up. And in and up. And we'll just do a couple more. And 2 more. And 1 more. Bring it all the way down. Now I'm just going to turn to the side for a second so you can see the profile of the feet. The last one, we're going to come up a little so that we're off the heels. So imagine again that your feet were perhaps just all 10 toes on, parallel legs. And we're going to bend and straighten. Bend and straighten. Now I'm trying to keep my heels at this constant lifted position. And again, bend and straighten. Bend and straighten. Bend and straighten, bend and straighten. We'll do 2 more and 1 more. Now if you wish, we add little pulses, pause, we pulse down. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. Push all the way up and allow your heels to come down. So you can just shake those legs out for a moment. We're going to come back onto the mat and we'll do a little bit of stretching, standing stretching. And we're going to just be facing forwards, bring 1 foot forwards, and you're going to come down onto your knee. Allow this foot just to move a little further forwards so that you can come down into a lunge position. Now imagine if you were on the reformer, this would be the equivalent of the lunges that we do, where we have our hands onto the foot bar. This foot would be on the floor, this foot would be against your headrest. So I just want you to begin with a nice simple lunge like so. I'm always trying to keep my knee over my ankle, okay? I'm drawing the hip bones backwards, the pubic bone goes forwards, really think about lifting the heart up. Now to make it more challenging, we're going to come up and off that back knee. Now from there, we're going to stretch out this psoas at the back and also this hip flexor, which you can probably feel right now. So to make it more challenging still, we bring that arm up on the same side that you're stretching the leg back, and we're going to laterally flex across to the side and hold it here. Now be careful the head doesn't move too far away from that arm. To make it more challenging, you could hold the wrist. Take a little pull, remember pubic bone forwards, hip bones backwards, holding and breathing, bringing it all the way back. Now we can add a little bit to this by bringing our same side hand down as we have the foot forwards, and then open, 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 stretch that back leg back, and really feel that middle back rotation, holding and breathing. Slowly from there, take one hand down, take the other hand down. Now I want you to take your seat bone on the right and pull it back to the back wall and slightly up. And from there, that's what's going to initiate our hamstring stretch. And you're going to push your breastbone forwards and really try and get your back as flat as possible. Now push that back heel down, lift it up a little. Back heel down, lift it up. Back heel down, lift it up. Back heel down, lift it up. Pause with that heel down and lift the toes up at the front if you can, and down. Lift the toes up a little and down. One more, up a little and down. Now keep driving that seat bone back. That's really, really important. Slowly from there, take a little bend into the knee, hands come forwards. If you can, you're going to push forwards and you're going to bring your other foot backwards. Begin onto the knee, lifting yourself up. And you're going to think just very gently about good alignment, this front knee over your ankle, square through the hips. Think about lifting up through the heart. So if you've been sitting all day, Jules, this is just such a wonderful, wonderful stretch. I want you to feel that sacrum nice and lengthened down towards the floor. That should encourage your hip bones back a little, the pubic bone forwards a little. To make it more challenging, we're going to elevate up. And from there, deepen that lunge if you can. Bring your same side arm up. So for me, that is right leg back, so right arm comes up. And a gentle lateral flexion across to the side. Be careful you don't take your head too far away from your up-stretched arm. To make it more challenging, really, take this hand and pull a little more over. Now I keep thinking hip bones backwards, pubic bone forwards, sacrum long and lengthened. Bringing it all the way back, bring the arms down. Slowly from there, I'm going to take my hands down, and the first thing I want to think about is pushing my seat bone back a little and pull that seat bone back as we begin to straighten this leg. So really be careful with your pelvis, almost tipping your pelvis forwards a little bit. Pelvis forwards, seat bone back and up a little. Now from there, the back is trying to flatten, so push your breastbone forwards. And I'm going to lift the back heel and push the back heel down. Lift it and push it down. Lift it and push it down. And then we can go for the front foot. Now remember, try to keep that back as flat as you can all the time. Lifting and lowering. And then slowly from there, remember, drive that seat bone all the way back. And then you're going to slowly bend your knee. And if you can, step it forwards and just come down onto your mat. So we're going to begin with a little bit of just a roll up from here. So I want it to be a little assisted roll up. We're going to take the hands underneath the knees, sit super tall, draw your hip bones lightly backwards and slowly drag those feet with you and come all the way down to the floor. Inhale at the bottom as you lift your head, neck and chest up. I then push the thigh bones away as I exhale and allow myself to rock all the way back up and lift the eyes, almost lifting into a little bit of extension. And again, draw your hip bones lightly backwards, drag the feet, keep breathing. Watch you're not rounding your shoulders too far forwards, head comes all the way down. And again, an inhale to lift the head, neck and chest. Push the thigh bones a little away from you, never push your tummy out as you exhale all the way back up, back up, back up, and pause. It should feel quite nice. We're just going to do one more. All the way down, 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 down. And again, an inhale as you lift the head, neck and chest, and exhale, push those thigh bones away from you, all the way back up. And pause. Now, if you can, we're going to push the legs beautifully long, pull those seat bones right back. I'm going to put a little blurb in my email which will make an explanation to you about the seat bones so that when we're stretching the hamstrings it makes a little bit more sense to you, but I'll put that in my email. So from here, glue those legs together, making it slightly more challenging. If you want to use a band around your feet, you can. Draw the hip bones lightly backwards, bringing it all the way back, and you can bring the arms back if it feels okay. Arms come up and inhale as you lift your head, neck and chest, send your sacrum away from you, and then exhale all the way back up, back up, back up. Think about those seat bones. Now we can try it slightly more challenging with the feet flexed. Draw the hip bones lightly backwards, all the way down. Arms come back behind you. And inhale to lift the head, neck and chest up. And an exhale all the way up, 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 up. And lift the heart. Almost moving into a little bit of extension up here. And we'll just do one more, all the way down, 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 down. Bringing those arms back, really be mindful that you don't throw the rib cage. The arms come up as we inhale to lift. Relax the shoulder blades. Exhale, push that sacrum away from you. Big toes together and lifting almost into a little extension. Now this time we're going to come all the way back down, 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 down. And we're going to go straight into our leg circles here. So if you need the band, if you're feeling particularly tight in your legs, you might want to just pick up the band, put it around your foot, and you can work with a band around the foot and your elbows would be down all the time. But if you can, we'd just work without the band. You're going to drag that right foot in towards you, pause for a moment, into a little bent knee position. Now be careful that your back is not flattening. I want you to imagine that there's a little nail underneath your low back, and as you slowly reach that leg up towards the ceiling, the back doesn't flatten, but that seat bone drives down towards the floor again. My arms can be down by my sides. I'm going to really anchor my right leg, my left leg. You could really flex that foot if it helps you. Come across your midline, circle down, around, and all the way back up. Across the midline, we're just doing 4, down, around, and all the way back up. Now, if you need a little towel underneath your head, Mike, for here, remember the importance of keeping your chin and your forehead nice and level. Pause. Are you breathing? Perhaps an inhale and an exhale. Perhaps half a circle for one breath, perhaps a full circle for one breath. I'm so rubbish at counting and speaking. So we'll just do one more, all the way around, 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 and pause, and then bend and reach that leg beautifully long away from you. So if you felt this one really was so super tight that you really need a band, you can always take the band for the second. of the legs. You're going to draw this leg up. Remember that little nail underneath your low back, so that as you come into your bent knee position, you're not actively flattening your back out. You're going to reach that leg up as you gently draw the seat bone down towards the floor. The arms are by your sides. Your collarbones, as best you can, are nicely open. Be careful that this leg doesn't creep too much into the midline, so you might prefer just to take your non-circling leg, for me that's the right now, just out a little, flex deeply through that ankle. Reach the leg up towards the ceiling, come across the midline, circle around, up and pause. Mobility for your hip, stability practice for your pelvis. Really thinking about breath and lengthening throughout, all the way up. And we'll just do one more, round, 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 and pause. And we go the other way, round and up. And if you don't know if you are stable, just take a little look. Look at your pelvis. Is it nice and still? We'll do two more. Reach the thigh bone, lift it up, really pull that seat bone down, and we'll just do one more, around, 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 and pause. Bring it into bent knee, and slowly drag your other leg into bent knee as well, as you now take your arms out to a T position. Glue the legs as best you can together. Imagine you've been wrapped in cling from heel to hip. And you're going to take a little inhale as you come across to one side, and an exhale back to center. So you could imagine that you were on the reformer and you were holding the pegs, like so, doing a little supine spine twist. If you prefer the capital E position to the T, then please take that. Constantly thinking about the length up through the crown of the head and down through the tail, trying to keep your knees as level as possible throughout. So again, just think, why are we doing this? We're trying to keep the upper body really stable. We're trying to keep our lumbar spine, that's the 5 lower vertebrae, really stable. But we're allowing our low back rotators of the low thoracic, that's your middle back, they are just doing a little bit of rotation. Now, if this is at all uncomfortable for you, you can always keep your feet on the floor. We're just doing one more, across to this side, all the way back, and just allow your knees to come in. Draw your knees in towards you, circle around, and just allow a little bit of a release through your hips, and going the other way. So just to add to that little bit of release, we're going to do a little bit of bridging. So foot comes down, other foot comes down, arms are down by your sides. Mike, if you would prefer a block or a bowl in between your knees, then please do put one there. Big toes are pointing forwards. Remember, feet are that little bit closer towards your bottom, but not behind your knees, that you really are hyperextended through the knee. Or rather, sorry, hyperflexed through the knee. And so really fill the back and the base of the lungs, but also when you inhale, imagine that your lungs came right up to the tops of your shoulders. And so when you inhale, fill the top of the shoulder as well as the base of the rib cage. And then exhale, get rid of all of the air. On your next exhale, you're going to draw your hip bones very lightly backwards and just peel your spine up and up and up and up and up, and pause. Now remember, we're looking for a straight line, knee, hip, shoulder. When you get up here, inhale, and as you exhale, melt the spine all the way back down, imagining that your vertebrae were attached to a line of poppers back to neutral spine. Inhale. And as you exhale, just think lengthen first, like you're sort of taking off with your tailbone. And you lift up and pause. Now remember, your seat bones are similar to a little pair of car headlights. They're currently pointing down. You're going to flip them up into the full beam. Inhale. And as you exhale, open the collarbones, more lengthen the spine, bring it all the way back down, 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 and find that neutral spine. Inhale, and one more. Exhale, draw the hip bones lightly backwards, all the way up, 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 up. And on this one, we could take the arms all the way back behind us. And as you exhale, lay the bones all the way back down. Articulate sequentially. Find your neutral spine. And bring your arms all the way down by your side. Now I'm going to go a little bit more into your back. So this time we're just going to lift straight up and pause. I want you to imagine that you have two pockets full of sand. And you're now going to allow yourself to tilt your pelvis to one side so that now for me, the sand spills out of my left pocket. My knees still point forwards. A ball between the knees will probably assist with that. And now we're going to just travel down the outside edge of the left side of the spine. Still articulating, finishing off onto the inside edge of your left bottom cheek. And then we come all the way back up, sequentially, all the way back up to the base of the shoulder blade. Center yourself or level your pelvis again, and now spill the sand out of your right pocket. Lay the bones all the way down the right side of the spine, coming down to the inside edge of that right bottom cheek. And then all the way back up, back up, back up, back up. We're going to do one more of these each side, nice and level. Spill the sand out of your left pocket and come down the left side of your spine as sequentially as you can, but keep your knees pointing forwards. And again, all the way back up, back up, back up, back up, and back through that lovely level position. Remember your little seat bone lights. And now we spill the sand out of our right pocket and come all the way down the right side of your spine, down, 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 until you find yourself onto the inside edge of that right bottom cheek and come all the way back up, back up, back up, and find yourself nice and level. Now I want you to imagine underneath your hips, there's almost like a skateboard or an old-fashioned typewriter. And you're going to now, or the bar that goes across the typewriter, keeping yourself absolutely level, so visualize a spirit level bubble. You're going to come across to your left, as though you've just slid across on a skateboard with your pelvis. Stay at that level and now slide across to your right. Bring it back through center, come down 1 centimeter. Slide the pelvis across to the left. You're on that skateboard with the pelvis, and slide it across to the right. Back through center, bring it back down. Slide to one side and slide across to the other. All the way back through center and bring it down. We slide and bringing it back and down. Last one, slide it and slide it. So remember, we're still very level, back through center and all the way back down. Come all the way back up, all the way articulating back up. And we're going to do exactly the same, but this time we're going to begin going to the right. So visualize your skateboard or your typewriter bar, and we push the pelvis across to the right. And then across to the left. Back through center, come down 1 centimeter. Across to the right. Right across at that level to the left. Bring it back through center, keep breathing, keep your neck really long. We come down 1 centimeter. We have 2 more. Across to the right. Lateral translation of your spine across to the left. Back through center, come down 1 centimeter. Last one. To your right. Slide across to your left, back through center, and lay the bones all the way back down. Just for completeness, bring it all the way back up. Take your arms all the way back. Keep the collarbones open and lay the bones all the way down, 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 down. Finding neutral, arms can come all the way around. And again, if it feels nice, just a little hug in, perhaps a little opening of the thighs out to the side just to release the inner thigh. So now we're going to come onto our sides. So I want you to just roll over onto your side We're going to begin with our legs nice and long. So outstretch your underside arm, constantly pushing this top hip away from you. Push both legs out beautifully long and lengthened. Now you can have them ever so slightly in front of you if you feel at all wobbly. Arm position, it can be outstretched, you can bend the elbow, you could have it in front of you, towels or blocks underneath here, it's entirely up to you. But you want to really just try and keep your head in good alignment with the rest of the spine. So from here, there is an imaginary rope tied around your ankles. And I want you to think about the lift that you're creating underneath your waist. Top hand might just come down in front of you. Be careful of ribs. Think about that top shoulder. This is if you're lying on your left side, Mike. Be really careful that that right shoulder isn't rounding forwards. So just draw it back, position it in a nice lengthened position, and either the hand on the floor or your hand onto your hip. And with that rope around your ankles, sacrum is long and lengthened. I'm going to pull that rope, and subsequently your feet will float up, and you're going to lower back down. So we lift the legs with a lengthened sensation, and we lower them. They're working as a pair. We lift them, and that length is coming through the crown of the head as well as down and through the tail. Lower them. Keep them glued together. We lift them. Your waist doesn't collapse on every lift. And lower them. And we lift. And we lower. Be careful of this top elbow. It doesn't collapse backwards. Lift. And lower. We're just going to do one more. Lift, 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 lift. Feel that underside leg working. And lower. Now on the next one you're going to lift and you're going to hold it here. And I'm going to reach and lengthen and lift just a little more the top leg, just a touch. And I'm going to lower the underside leg and lift it up to the top leg. We lower and we lift. Now be careful that your chin doesn't begin to clamp down towards the chest. Lift and lower. We lift, lift, lift. Feel that underside leg coming to meet the top leg. And I'm not working from my feet. I want you to work from up here in that inner thigh, that groin region. Keep lengthened through your tail. If it bothers your low back at all, think good alignment, but also think less range. Don't lift the legs quite so high. And be careful, Mike, that your feet aren't doing funny things. No pointy toes, no sort of gripping. And we'll just do one more. Lifting, 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 and holding it here. Really feel those inner thighs working. Hold and breathe. Now if you can, we're going to part the legs in a little scissor action. So one has gone behind me, one has gone in front. And then we're going to switch. The other goes underneath, the other goes in front. But the tail remains lengthened. We switch and we switch. So there's a big challenge happening here to the trunk. Be careful there's no tension into your neck. We switch and we switch. Keep thinking about the length of your thigh bones reaching away from your pelvis. And switch. And we'll just do one more each side. Push, 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 push. All the way back. Lift and lengthen them away from you and lower it back down. Hand comes down. Knees come in. Now just be careful you haven't pulled your knees too close in. I want you just to push them so that they're almost like a little angle away from you. So think clam. We've done these on the reformer. We're going into the bottom now. And still the head position is the same. Maybe you want to change the arm. Maybe it's getting a little stiff. Maybe you need a little moment to relax it. The hand can stay onto the top hip or it can be in front. And we're just going to open and close. Now try and make sure that every time that your knee comes down, it's absolutely level with the underside knee. We lift, 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 lower, lower, lower. Make sure that those shoulders are nice and soft, that you're breathing wide and full. Lift, 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 lower, lower, lower. Now imagine that you're working through the thickest treacle, so we create resistance and lower. You could imagine that there was a reformer strap around your thigh bone. If you wanted to make it more challenging and you're doing this on a repeat during the week, tie your flex band around your thigh. That might be another little option to make it more challenging if you need more challenge. Now we're going to go into a little internal rotation and then an external rotation. Again, look at the alignment of your knees as you do this, and make sure that as you move into that internal rotation, it's coming from the thigh bone and you're continuously pushing that top seat bone away from you. So the pelvis is not twisting at all forwards as you go into internal rotation, but also your waist is not collapsing. We'll just do one more. Lift and up. Now slowly from there we're going to add a little bit to this. We're going to lift to about hip height, keep lengthening the tail, pull that thigh bone back, bring it forwards and down. We lift, pull it back, we bring it forwards and down. Lifting it up, pulling it back, lifting it all the way over that underside one. So there's almost a sort of mirror image when the leg lifts and when it returns. So mirror image and down. We'll do one more. I'm going to add a little bit to this again. And all the way back and down. So this time we can lift without your tail curling under. Lengthen, sweep the leg back, sweep it forwards, bend it. We have that mirror image and lower. If you need the hand in front, please take it. So we reach, we push back, we come forwards, we bend and bring it down. We'll do two more. And reach, pull it forwards. You should feel your bottom. Sorry, pull it back. Then it comes forwards and all the way down. Last one, lift, push that top seat bone away. We don't want collapsing. Reach, pull it back. The more you can open this hip, the more you're going to work your bottom. That is your hip extensor. Forwards, bend and down. And if you need to, you can just give yourself a little tap on that bottom with the heel of the hand. That should feel quite good at just releasing it. If you need to, Mike, if that feels really tight, you could always go into a little piriformis, arms to the side, little baby stretch. Entirely up to you. You could pause the video, take that little stretch if that's something that you feel you really need, but no flattening out of your back. So from here, we're going to just smoothly bring it onto our tummies and do some extension work before we do the other side. So I want you just to begin with your hands just a little above your head. And I want you just to think about your shoulders. So give your shoulders a few little circles back. Circle them back, circle them back, circle them back. So really think about them moving. And then you're going to pause. Now, bring the head down so that it's just a little away from the mat. Bring your arms down by your sides, and we're just going to do a really simple dart position. So the nose just hovers, and no more, away from the mat. And I want you to think about your arms, and your first fingers are just touching the mat. Your palms are facing your thighs, and your arms are as straight as feels comfortable without forcing them. And you're going to take a wide full inhale. Remember, we were talking about trying to bring the inhale up into the top of the shoulders as well as the base of your rib cage. And as you exhale, let your head come up a little. The throat also comes up a little. The sternum has lifted, the breastbone that is, has lifted just a touch. And now with my sacrum reaching long and lengthened, the hip bones are light because of the reaching of that sacrum. We're going to allow the arms to come up now. And then from there, just draw the collarbones out to the side, spin the palms around so that they face down, and just make sure that your head is no higher than your spine. So focus on your position, the length of your sacrum, the length of your neck, The collarbones are open, and just hold and breathe. Now this may be where you want to stay. So think original anatomy poster man here. Now allow yourself to come back down. We're going to repeat that. Wide full inhale. Just bring the hands back in by your sides again. As you exhale, really focus on the length and bring your head, neck and chest up just a touch. Now from there, remember the length in that sacrum that subsequently weights the pubic bone maybe a little more. You're going to hover those arms so they're a little away from the floor and let your collarbones just open out to the side. Now I'm going to spin my upper arm around, so I go into an external rotation of the upper arm bone, palms face straight down. Collarbones are open. And on my next exhale, I might just imagine lengthening that little tiny touch more. And then I'm going to see if I can bring one arm overhead and all the way back down. The other arm overhead and all the way back down. One more each side, overhead. Now if it starts to go into your low back, you can just stop using the arms. We'll do one more each way. You can stop using the arms or just take the upper body down a little and pause there. Now if you can, we're going to come straight into a little torpedo. Now we do this on the reformer. You would be on the box, facing the foot bar, hands on a little blue spring onto the straps. Now from there, keeping the shoulder blades nice and stable, reach your arms forwards, as though you were almost swimming, take them out to the side. Perhaps an inhale as you push your ribs down and forwards, bring those arms all the way back, and then allow yourself to come back to the W position. So we reach forwards. As we come out to the side, imagine pulling those ropes back. And I want you to really think about those ribs pushing forwards and back. Just really think rib cage forwards and down, I should say, and then bringing it back. We're going to do two more. So reach, bringing it around, open the collarbones, ribs forwards and down a little. One more. Reach. Now be really, really careful that you don't end up pushing your chin too far forwards. Jules, if this becomes uncomfortable lying in this position, please take a moment, push back, whatever feels good to you. We are now going to take a little bit of weight off the rib cage. So from here we're going to think about a little bit more extension, but before we do that, can you put one hand over the other? And I want you just to take a wide full inhale, and as you exhale again, settle the pelvis by reaching that sacrum away from you. And all I want you to do slowly from here is allow yourself just to lift one elbow up with a little bit of rotation and bringing it back down. Switch the hands, and again, other elbow comes up with a little bit of rotation. So there's a little bit, switch the hands. There's a little bit of rotation going on with this extension. Switch the hands each time. Lift, 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 and lower. Switch the hands. Lift and lower. It's not a push-up. One more. Lift and lower. Now if you would prefer, you can just lift up and bring it down. Lift up and bring it down. So this time you'll notice that both hands are staying stacked. Last one and lower. Now bring your hands so that they come to round about level with the top of your shoulders. Watch they're not too tightly in. And allow your elbows just to reach down towards your feet. Take a wide full inhale, and again as you exhale, lengthen your sacrum away from you. Open those collarbones a little. I want you to very subtly lift your head. Think swan here. Just a very subtle lift. The throat is lifted. The sternum has lifted a little. Now from there, you're going to push almost down and forwards with your ribs. Your eyes begin to lift, and we push all the way up allowing those hips to come right off the mat. So you really should feel that the hips have opened up. Bend at your elbows, think length and relax the shoulders as you come all the way back down. And again, lift the head up a little. Reach the elbows down away from you. Keep the collarbones open. Sacrum is long and lengthened. And you're going to really focus on the sternum lifting a little. That draws the ribs forwards and down. Eyes lift. And we bring it all the way up. And bend your elbows to bring it all the way down. Now, if you've had enough, please just take a break. Inhale, we're going to do just one more. And as we exhale, begin with your eyes coming a little away from the mat. Those elbows reach down, the collarbones remain open, the pubic bone is just weighted because your sacrum is lengthening away from you. And then from there, you're going to think about that sternum, that breastbone, lifting up a little. And it encourages the ribs to push down and forwards. You push into the heel of the hand and really feel yourself opening up at the front of that hip. Bringing it all the way back down, down, down. And you're going to slowly push yourself up. Bring the knees underneath you and take a lovely little stretch, whatever feels good to you. And that might be bringing your hands to one side, bringing your opposite seat bone up and over your heel. Please watch your knees here, Mike. And the arms could come to the other side of the mat, lifting your heel, or rather, sorry, your seat bone up and over your heel, and feel that stretch and length. And then slowly from there, all the way back up. Just whatever feels good to your back. Maybe a little cat stretch, a little Blackpool donkey, cat stretch, Blackpool donkey. Circumduction of the pelvis if you're doing that one way and the other way. And pause. And we're going to very slowly from here move around and do our legs now on the other side. So make sure that you feel nice and comfortable. Just make my mat really straight. And so choose the arm position that suits you. That's either outstretched or here with pillows, cushions, whatever feels good, or a little bent elbow. And then you're going to outstretch your legs beautifully long and lengthened. Can you remember that you have a rope around both legs? Hand could be in front of you. Be careful of the rib cage. If you have got the hand in front of you for stability, keep it nice and close to your ribs to make sure that it's not out here and pulling you forwards. And then from there, lengthen that sacrum again. Try and keep this top arm as far back as you can. And you're going to slowly from there, imagine the rope around your ankles being pulled so that it lifts both legs all the way up and lower back down. Be careful you haven't got a big arch in your low back, so if you were to look straight down, your legs should be coming directly out from your hip sockets. And we lift, 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 and lower, lower, lower. Really focus on the breath when it's nice and simple like this, and also imagine the inner thighs doing the work. The bit of your leg that is closest to your hip. Not just your feet. No tight toes, Mike. So really make sure that they are not doing funny things. Lengthen the shoulder blades softly down your back. We'll do one more of these. Lifting both legs as a pair. Now you can leave the top leg and just allow your bottom leg to come down. I'm reaching and lifting the top leg a tiny touch more as I bring the underside up and lower back down. Underside up and lower back down. Remember, please don't work from your feet. Try and really feel those inner thighs working. And that top seat bone is pushing away from you all the time. We're trying not to overly collapse into the waist. Breathe all the time. Remember, hand can quite happily be onto that top hip if you wish, because that will encourage that top hip to push away from you. relax the shoulders. And we'll just do 2 more, and down, and 1 more, and down. Now lift up and pause, and we're going to go into that little scissor. Now it is quite challenging to take your underside leg back, but use that challenge just to think about the pelvis remaining stable, so don't bend at your knees. Spot each other, and if you see somebody's knees bending, tell them. And back. So it's the hip extensors working, that's the thigh bone pulling back whilst the pelvis stays really stable. Switch and switch, and we'll just do 1 more. Back, 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 and all the way back and down. So if your neck feels at all tight, give it a little moment. We're going to bring the legs in underneath us. Watch that the knees remain really stacked, and just watch also that you haven't pulled those knees too close in. So from here, you're going to simply lift and lower. Now again, I'm trying to push my top seat bone away from me. Lift, 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 lower, lower, lower. So now we're working more into that lateral hip and your bottom, your glutes. We open and close. Now remember, if you want to put a band around your thigh bones just to make it a little more challenging, it would obviously go above the knees. That's entirely up to you. So we lift and we lower. We'll just do 2 more and lower. Keep those collarbones nice and open. 1 more and lower. Now the top heel comes away. We move into internal rotation and then an external rotation. So we've got some lovely hip mobility going on here. Also pelvic stability, because we don't want the pelvis to be rocking and rolling with the movement of the thigh bone in the socket. And lift and lower and lift and up. So really think about that treacle visualization. Can you really think about resistance as you're doing this? Keep breathing. Base of ribs, top of shoulders, filling the lungs all the time. We'll just do 1 more. And open, 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 and pause. Now we make it slightly more challenging by lifting that leg, pause. And you're simply from there going to draw the thigh bone back, and you're going to pull it back in and down. We lift, pull back, in and down. We lift, pull back, in and down. We lift, pull back. So your job here is that as you pull this leg back, you're not letting your pelvis come with it. I want you to imagine that you have a cup of tea sitting on the top of your hip, and in and down. Last one, lift, pull back, in and down. Now we'll make it slightly more challenging. Lift, reach the leg, sweep the thigh bone back, sweep it forward so it's directly over the top, bend and down. We've got 3 more. Lift and reach and sweep and forwards and bend and down. We've got 2 more. Reach, sweep it back and forwards and bend and down. Last one. Lift and reach and sweep and forwards and bend and down. And again, if you feel that at all in your bottom, just take the heel of the hand and give yourself a little almost massage, a little pummeling around that tender area. Now remember, we did suggest on the other side that if it's nice for you to do these little piriformis releases, then please give them a go. But no flattening out of your back. That is absolutely so important, that you're not flattening that back out. If it feels more intense for you and it feels better, lift the leg. You can always hold and feel these stretches. Remember, if you want to intensify it, I'm rolling away from the direction of the stretch. So if I'm into my left glute, I'm stretching it further by taking it to the right. And then slowly from there, just hug in perhaps a few nice little circles, one way and the other. And then slowly from there, inhale. And as you exhale, lift your head, neck and chest all the way up. And slowly we'll begin to rock a couple of times all the way back up, and bring it back and around. So from here, I just want you to think about some rolling like a ball. So just to sort of stretch out the back a little after all of that. So possibly easier would be to have the hands underneath your thigh, underneath your, you could go the thighs, but underneath your calves. I want you to draw your hip bones lightly backwards, thinking belly button, bottom ribs, middle ribs, upper ribs. And slowly from there, drag the toes in and lift them gently upwards. So under the calves will make it slightly easier to maintain the curve of your low back. Here might give you more of a purchase on the legs. But this definitely helps you to tip the pelvis back that little bit more. So my eyes are going to drop down to look towards my pubic bone, relax the shoulders, and it's a simple inhale and an exhale. And again, an inhale and an exhale. So really focus on trying to maintain that C curve all the time, and that includes your head, neck and chest. Remember, hands under the calves might make it easier to maintain that shape within your pelvis. We'll just do one more. You're not actually letting your head hit the floor, all the way back, and pause. So we're now going to do a little plank, and I want you to come onto your mat like so, and we've got a hand underneath each of your shoulders and a knee initially underneath each of your hips. Now Jules, if this gets troubling for the wrists, just come down onto your elbows, okay? And you could just slowly take those knees back and you could come into your plank like so. But if you can, we're going to begin in this box position. Now from here, I want you just to take your knees back a little more. Bringing the shoulders directly over the hands again with all 10 fingers spread out nicely. The hips come forwards a little. So now you can see that we've got pretty much a straight line in a neutral spine from the tail through the shoulder blades and to the crown of the head. Now all that we need to do from here with those toes tucked under is straighten the leg, and you find that beautiful plank position. So the back shouldn't be dipped, shouldn't be down here, and it shouldn't be arched up here. Again, spot each other. Try and look at the line and try not to tuck the tail too much. It would look like this. Try and find that little bit of curvature. Keep thinking about the length in your spine. Bringing it down and take a little break. You can just move a little backwards and forwards if that feels quite nice for your wrists. And we're going to go again. So from here, think about the alignment of the shoulder over your hands. Spread the weight through all 10 fingers. Think about the bottom ribs in, the sacrum nice and long and lengthened. The toes are tucked under and we simply lift up. Hold and breathe. Really focus on the length and the whole of the spine. And we're going to bring it back down. And again, a little bit of a release if that feels good to you. Now just for the third one, I'm going to add a little bit only if you wish. Okay, maybe you've had enough, maybe Jules, you want to come down, maybe you just want to take a moment and relax your wrists. It's entirely up to you. But if you can, remember we've got that nice little open sensation through the front of the hip here. Take a wide full inhale. Almost imagine your heart pulling through towards the center of your spine. and you're going to straighten those legs. Now if you can, I pull the toes of one foot under a little, and I'm simply going to lift that leg up on the opposite side. You should feel your bottom working, and then bring it back down. And again, lift, alternating from side to side. Lift and lower. Push the floor away from you, just one more. Lift and bring it down. Bend the knees, let it come back, whatever feels good to you, and just circle and circle, circle and circle those wrists. And simply from here, I don't know if it will work for you or not. It's going to depend on your knees, Mike. I'm just thinking about your feet. So I just want your feet to do some little exercises here. Notice how my feet are flat at the moment. You're going to come straight up. So really think about the alignment here. Straight up, straight down. Straight up, tuck the toes under. Push down, lift up. Flatten the toes, lift up. Tuck the toes, lift. Flatten the toes, lift. Tuck the toes, lift. Flatten the toes, lift. We'll do two more. Lift, one more. Lift, and if it feels okay to you, just sit either on the tucked toes or down. And I want you just to circle again your shoulder blades. Back and back and back. We're going to do a little spine stretch forwards now. Now this might be quite challenging. It might be quite difficult for you to sit up. So if that is the case, pop yourself on a block, pop yourself on a towel, but ideally, and I'm going to do this without fully straightening my legs, pull your seat bones right underneath you. It's almost like you're pulling the spare flesh right underneath and away from you, so that you can really feel yourself sitting on your seat bones, regardless of whether you're on a towel or a block or the mat. Then from there, I'm pulling the seat bones back as I straighten the legs as best I can. I'm going to flex the ankles, and I'm going to keep the feet about maybe just a little wider than hip socket width apart. So it's in the name, this. It's a spine stretch forwards. The arms come up, and you're going to really think about lifting up through the crown of your head. And I want you to think about a tiny bit of length at the back of your neck. So the eyes just drop. Now the arms are on a glass table, and you're going to allow yourself to keep pushing those seat bones back. Try to keep that little curve in your low back as you're drawn forwards through the crown of your head. I'm not dropping my head beneath my arms, but I'm pulling those seat bones back, 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 but keeping in my mind that little bit of curve in my low back. And then just restack low back, middle back, upper back, and eyes. And again, a little bit of length at the back of the neck so the eyes drop down. Imagine there's a suction cup on the crown of the head. And I'm now pushing or pulling, whichever sensation works for you, both seat bones back. Whilst I flex those ankles, pull those seat bones back, 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 and allow yourself to lengthen through the crown of the head. You're trying to stretch your spine. And then slowly restack low back, middle back, upper back, and eyes. And we're just going to do one more, a little bit of length at the back of the neck. You're rounding forwards, stretch, 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 stretch. Pull those seat bones back behind you all the time. Now maybe you've had enough, maybe you need to just take a break. But if you can, you're going to lift your head, neck and chest up. So my eyes are now pointing forwards, and I'm pushing my breastbone forwards to almost try to get my back at an angle to the mat. Now from there, I'm simply going to, in this position, open one arm out to the side. Bring it all the way back. Now check in with seat bones pulling backwards. Lift that heart up and I'm going to take the other arm out to the side and back. So what we have here is extension with rotation. Open, open, open. And again, out to the side. Reach your other arm forwards and back. We'll do one more each way. Open, 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 and bringing it back. One more. Open, 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 and back. Now, if you can, those upper arm bones come back. So from your humerus bone, that's elbow to shoulder, push the breastbone forwards, lift your eyes up, and just pulse that humerus bone back. Now remember, seat bones, they are pulling backwards. You're flexed through your ankles. Pulse, and pulse, and pulse, and pulse. Now round everything forward. You should really feel your middle upper back working there. And just let your knees come in. If it feels comfortable to you, you could just pop your hands underneath your knees again. Draw the legs back and bring it down into that little modified roll up that we did earlier. Little bit of length at the back of the neck. Pick the head, neck and chest up as you inhale, and as you exhale all the way back up and lift. And again, drag the feet back. If this feels nice to you and your back really feels, push those thigh bones away, feels like it is enjoying that flexion, you could go into rolling like a ball again. And back up. And again, inhale to roll back. So it's almost like a little massage for your back. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Now, slowly from here, I want you to think about how easy is it for you to sit up. So perhaps a chair, maybe sit on a chair. If you remember, go and get something, chair that feels more comfortable to sit on. We're going to do a little bit of spine twist. So possibly a block, but you really want to be looking at your back and trying to get your back as flat as possible. Now from there, I'm going to go for the diamond feet position, foot position. They don't have to touch. We're going to bring the arms all the way up to a T position and pause. Now lift up through the crown of the head. Feel your seat bones, push them right down, and you're going to rotate to one side and all the way back through center. Rotate to the other side and back through center. So you shouldn't feel that your seat bones are waggling around on the mat. We've got a lovely rotation going on here again. And back, a rotation. And back. So I want you to imagine that there is a broom handle attached to both of your elbows going across your back, and you can really feel that it's stopping your arms from drawing forwards. Now we can add to this, if you wish, we rotate, lift those arms up and bring it all the way back down. Rotate, I don't mind how you breathe, lift and all the way back down. I just want you to make sure that you do breathe. To the side, lift, all the way out and down. We'll do one more and lift and all the way out and down. Well done, you should definitely feel that in that middle back. So from here, last little thing. We're going to come up and we're going to think about lateral flexion again. So it is so important that we are moving that middle back. Just because our low back, our 5 lumbar vertebrae are not designed to do lots and lots of mobility work. And if our upper middle back, even our middle back, even the lower part of the middle back, that thoracic spine, if it doesn't move properly, it's going to start to drag and pull on that lumbar spine, which we really don't want. So lateral flexions. We're just going to begin with the knees a little tiny touch wider. Bring one arm up, and you're going to slowly, by cueing your ribs pulling apart, away from each other, one at a time. That's your cue. Pull each of your ribs away one at a time. Be careful that the head doesn't drop too far away. Bring it all the way back. Arm comes down. Other arm up. Pull those ribs away from each other. So don't just collapse down. All the way across, 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 across. and then almost pull the ribs back in together to bring you back up. And again, we'll make this a little bigger. So let the ribs pull apart all the way to a point that you feel a good stretch. Be careful that your hips aren't pulling back. Now if you can, there's almost a little balance as you take the foot out, the arm down, touching the mat. Bring this arm out a little, push the pubic bone forwards, lengthen your spine and simply lift and lower. Just 3, lift and lower. 1 more, lift and lower. Now leave the foot there. Bring your hands forwards into a little box position. And we're now going to reach through as we've done with the roller before and lift up. Reach through and lift up. Now pushing my bottom away from me. And all the way up. Now push that floor away from you. As you bring it down, walk the hands back all the way up. And you could take a little stretch across. Remember, pulling the ribs apart is your cue. All the way back. Bring that knee in, and we're going to do exactly the same on the other side. So we would be bringing this arm up this time. And again, pull the ribs apart. Allow almost a little balance challenge here as that foot comes out. Now don't let the big toe get any further back than the front of this knee. So we've got good alignment there, big toe and the front of the knee. Down to the palm if you can, stay up on the fingertips if you can. If you need a block under there because you can't get under there, then use any props that you need to. Push the pubic bone forwards. Really think about lengthening your spine as you lift the leg and lower. Lift the leg and lower. We just have 1 more. Lift the leg and lower. And then slowly from there, you're going to allow yourself to come forwards into that box position. And you're going to simply reach your arm through, push the bottom away from you. Then bring it all the way up, 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 up. And again, reach through. And all the way up, push that floor away from you. 1 more, reaching it through, all the way up, 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 up. And then slowly bring yourself all the way back up. Bring the arm up, come across. Really feel that lovely stretch. Bringing it down, bring your knee down, and just stretch those shoulders back, and take them back, and take them back. And you can lift up, palms come all the way down, 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 down. And thank you so much. I'm looking at my clock. I've gone a little bit over, just over an hour. It's about 1 hour, 6 minutes or so. Really hope you enjoyed that. Have a lovely holiday weekend. Enjoy the sunshine and hopefully see you next week. Thank you so much. Email me any questions, anything you would prefer to be doing, things you like, things you don't like, and see you soon. Thanks.